After seeing the horrifying footage of Riley Gaines being mobbed by absolute hysterical lunatics at San Francisco State University during a speaking event, the university did issue a letter in response to what happened, and it's pretty much exactly what you would expect these days, especially from an institution in California. So let's talk about it. Welcome to my channel, Outspoken Samantha. If you are new here, welcome. I would love it if you would subscribe. If you're returning, welcome back. Thank you so much for your continued support, and I hope that you will like and subscribe as well. These are just a couple of the things that you can do these days that cost you absolutely nothing, and it does help me to grow this channel and hopefully reach more people that value logic, reason, and sanity. Also, be sure to head on over to Rumble and find me there under Outspoken Samantha in the event that YouTube decides I have violated their community standards and chooses to kick me off their platform forever. That being said, let's get into today's topic. I know that we were all horrified last week when we saw the video footage of Riley Gaines being attacked by this hysterical, lunatic, deranged mob as she was doing a speaking event at San Francisco State University with Turning Point USA, and she was there to deliver her remarks and her perspective and her lived experiences as being a female athlete that was forced to compete against a biological male as a result of these insane policies that allow a man who can't hack it in men's sports to grow his hair out, change his name, and then compete in women's sports and essentially take all opportunities away from them. And this lunatic mob has been pulled into this utter state of delusion in believing that trans women are women and that trans rights are more superior to women's rights. I know they say that trans rights are human rights, but honestly, what they're saying is that they matter more than the rights of actual biological women. Riley has since done a few interviews talking about how exactly the events unfolded. She was able to deliver her full speech before this mob of grown toddlers came into the room and started screaming and shouting because they didn't like what this person had to say. She says that a man in a dress hit her twice, and from what we know, no consequences have been issued to any of the people that participated in this.
Nothing has happened to the people who assaulted me. The campus police did nothing. The dean of students was there and did nothing.
There's even video footage of this lunatic, this group of absolutely unhinged young adults standing outside the classroom that she was held hostage in for 3 hours, trying to negotiate with the police that were on the scene and tell them that she needed to pay them all $10 before she would be allowed to leave.
And what we're hoping to do is to keep things peaceful and
make her lose her flight
and move forward. Okay? Tell her to pay us. Tell her to pay us, and then she could go. $10 each. Because she might get paid for this shit, so we could get paid for it too.
On a public campus that we attend.
So what's the end goal here? We're cooperating, so what's next?
The whole thing was just completely insane. There really is no other word to describe it because the behavior was insane. The fact that these people were screaming at somebody who was just there to speak and offer a different perspective outside of their bubble of wokeism, and just the fact that they felt so emboldened to attack this person. And we have seen these mobs get increasingly aggressive and even violent, and they're going from being just trans activists to trans supremacists because they can essentially do whatever they want and face no consequences. Now, Riley herself said that she does plan to pursue legal action, which I am so grateful to see. What I think needs to happen is that every single one of these students that participated in this mob needs to just be sent home and to just be expelled from the university, and probably save their parents a few $1,000s in tuition because it's clearly not doing any good. Their kids aren't learning anything. In fact, they are becoming dumber the longer that they spend in these institutions. But the university did issue a letter out to the student body, and where we would think in a grown adult world where grown adults live, that there would be some kind of consequence to these people, that there would be some kind of condemning their actions and saying this is not representative of the university. We do not attack people that come to speak here. We respect all opinions and perspectives. We respect true diversity, and true diversity actually does come from diversity of opinion. But that's not what they said at all. So let's have a look at what this response was, because I'm sure that it will make your head explode as much as it did mine. The email reads, Dear SF State community, today San Francisco State finds itself again at the center of a national discussion regarding freedom of speech and expression. Let me begin by saying clearly, the trans community is welcome and belongs at San Francisco State University. Further, our community fiercely believes in unity, connection, care, and compassion, and we value different ideas, even when they are not our own. Do you though? San Francisco State is regularly noted as one of the most diverse campuses in the United States. This is what makes us Gators, and this is what makes us great. Diversity promotes critical discussions, new understandings, and enriches the academic experience. But we may also find ourselves exposed to divergent views and even views we find personally abhorrent. These encounters have sometimes led to discord, anger, confrontation, and fear. We must meet this moment and unite with a shared value of learning. Might want to take your blood pressure medication for this next part. It reads, thank you to our students who participated peacefully in Thursday evening's event. It took tremendous bravery to stand in a challenging space.
What I experienced was peaceful. It wouldn't even be peaceful in an alternate universe. I mean, it was quite literally the exact opposite. Barricaded in a room where I could not leave for 3 hours, where they were yelling obscene, terrible, violent things towards both myself and these officers who were protecting me.
I am proud of the moments where we listened and asked insightful questions. I am also proud of the moments when our students demonstrated the value of free speech and right to protest peacefully. These issues do not go away, and these values are very much at our core. This feels different because it is difficult. As you reflect, process, and begin to heal, please remember that there are people, resources, and services available and ready to receive our Gator community, including faculty, staff members, coaches, and mentors who are here to support you. It lists some of the campus resources that are available. The Equity and Community Inclusion, 2, the Counseling and Psychological Services, and 3, Dean of Students Office. The well-being of the San Francisco State campus community remains our priority. Sincerely, Jamila Moore, Education Dean. I believe that's what that stands for. Vice President for Students Affairs and Enrollment Management. I don't even know what to say. I mean, I have a lot of things to say, but I'm what? Our community fiercely believes in unity, connection, care, and compassion, and we value different ideas even when they are not our own. No, you don't. You just allowed a mob of students to shut down ideas that you disagree with, and now you're issuing an entire letter offering healing resources to people that had to stand in that space, to even be in the room with somebody that has a different perspective than they do. Saying that San Francisco State is regularly noted as one of the most diverse campuses in the United States. No, you can have different skin colors, you can have different backgrounds and ethnicities and cultures, but when you come into an institution with those diverse backgrounds and you insist that people emerge leaving with exactly the same thought process and exactly the same belief system, that is not diversity. That is everybody falling in line in sync with your ideas, with the ideas that you value, and you run off anybody that dares to show up and have a different belief system. And then saying we may also find ourselves exposed to divergent views and even views we find personally abhorrent. Here's the thing. If you guys had actually taken a minute to have a civil conversation with Riley and actually, as your letter claims, showed up to ask insightful questions and have a productive conversation, which is not what happened whatsoever, that's like the opposite of what happened, then you would know that Riley Gaines is not against the trans community. She has never said anything against the trans community. She has no issue with whatever identity anyone wants to take upon themselves. She has no problem with pronouns, no problem with men who want to wear dresses. She does not care. She is supportive of them. She is supportive of all human beings. She is a loving person. She is talking about the biological reality that we have to acknowledge when it comes to women's sports, and the fact that a 6'4" male who has just as much experience in swimming as she does, when they come over to compete against women, that there are lost opportunities for those girls. And denying that is to live in a total state of delusion, and it is against women's rights. It is taking rights away from women. And then it says, thank you to students who participated peacefully in Thursday evening's event. It took tremendous bravery to stand in a challenging space. If that's your idea of peaceful, I would hate to see what your idea of violent and immature and aggressive is. Because that's what I saw. This was absolute insanity. And then saying that it took bravery to be in there. There is nothing brave about an entire mob of hysterical lunatics attacking this single speaker who's up there just trying to give them this other perspective that you say that you respect. This is a room of cowards. Every single one of these students is a coward. They are falling in line with this narrative and they are not asking questions. They are not thinking for themselves. They are falling in with the crowd and they feel justified in targeting, harassing, threatening, and holding this person hostage against their will. And they have no care or concern for her safety. I mean, this is just absolutely bananas that this is where we are at right now. And you know, it's interesting. I listen to a lot of different channels. There's a lot of channels where there are teachers that are quitting education, good teachers, because of just how insane everything has gotten. But there's one teacher I was listening to, and she was having a conversation with a teacher that has been in the education system for decades and decades, and they were talking about the differences between, you know, education back then and education now. And he made the point that the IQ of the average college grad now is lower than the IQ of high school grads like 50 years ago. So people are becoming more and more dumb. And that is, of course, the agenda of this far left political education system is pretty much what it is. Because the dumber you are, the less that you are able to think for yourself, the easier you are to control. And all of these people that say, you know, get educated, inform yourself, they are not educated and they are not informed. They think they're educated because they think that all of the information that they are hearing is all there is, while they are completely unaware of all of the information that they don't have, that you and I have, that you and I engage in. And one more thing I wanted to touch on briefly, I see this kind of comment a lot where people say, you know, women need to be stepping back and saying if there is a biological male on the opposing team, or if we are forced to compete with a biological male on our team, that we are not going to compete at all. And you know, it's been my perspective that I understand why more women don't do that, that it's really hard in that moment to make that decision, especially if you are the only one doing it. And then, of course, if you are the only one doing it, then you are the one that loses out on any opportunity at all, whereas at least everyone else gets something from competing. I also understand that it's easy from the outside looking in for those of us to say, why don't you guys just boycott? Why don't you guys just stop competing against these people? Why don't you guys just refuse to engage in this and participate in this? It's easy from the outside looking in to say that. I've never been in that position. I don't think it's gonna be long before every single one of us are in some sort of position where we have to stand up and say, I am not doing this. But I do find myself more and more frustrated that more women are not standing up and taking a stand against this. I posted this graphic the other day, both on my Facebook and on my community thread on YouTube, and it says, in a world full of Dylan Mulvaney's, be a Riley Gaines. And first, a lot of comments said, well, we don't have a world full of Dylan Mulvaney's. It's still a small percentage of the population. And yes, that is true, but you either have the people that are, you know, part of the alphabet soup group where they have this kind of identity within that community of some kind, and then you have the activists that are following them around and screaming on their behalf, and those groups are getting bigger. The fact is that this is now affecting every single one of us, and it is getting bigger and it is not going away. I'm going to do a video probably tomorrow on this new transgender Bill of Rights that Pramila Jayapal introduced that actually just stomps all over women's rights at a federal level, but it's to the point where there's really no excuse not to say something, because we are talking about future opportunities for women in this country. And under the graphic that I posted, Brittany B, I appreciate your comment. She said, I'd rather be someone with self-respect and principles to refuse to play along with these people to begin with instead of complaining about it after the fact like Gaines, to be honest. And I appreciate that comment. I do kind of want to separate it out. Like, I respect wholeheartedly what Riley Gaines is doing. I think, you know, at the time that this whole Leah Thomas thing came up, we had seen little sprinklings of these incidents where men or high school boys or whatever it is trying to compete on women's sports teams. Since then, it has completely blown up. So I think at the time that Riley Gaines really started speaking out, it was becoming a bigger and bigger issue. So I think what she's trying to do is embolden people to take action, to speak out, because it is going to get to a point where these opportunities are completely gone for women, that they really are just left to whatever impulses of the school, of the men, of the boys, in the sports teams of that area or of that college or whatever it is, that they're really going to be left to the mercy of whoever wants to take over women's sports as they attack Title IX and as they attack different policy. And so it really is to the point now where we need women to stand up. We need women to say something, because this is going to affect all of us. I would love to know your thoughts on this. Please like this video, leave your thoughts below. Also, if you want to just help the algorithm, leave an emoji below. Please be sure you are subscribed. Help me to grow this channel. Hit the notification bell so you can be notified every time I post a video, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.